Hi there, welcome back on the channel. As you can see, we have another BMW on the set. Yeah, they're becoming quite an appearance here on the channel, but I like it. I enjoy the brand, even though I didn't own a model from them at least until now. But who knows? This time we have another 3 Series. It's the firmer model compared with the black one that was imported from the United States of America. This one is the 320D, meaning that it has a 2-liter diesel engine. It's manufactured in 2015 and it's done about 33,000 kilometers until now. Now let's dive in. We have, as I said, a 320D. It does have xDrive, all-wheel drive, and an automatic gearbox with torque converter. BMW calls it Steptronic, but actually it's the ZF8HP. A very well-known gearbox that BMW uses on most of its vehicles, so yeah, it's gonna be reliable, I'm sure of it. The engine, it's a 2-liter diesel engine with 4 cylinders. It develops somewhere around 190 horsepower, and the torque figure is about 400. The other specs, at least on paper, the sprint happens from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in a bit over 7.5 seconds, and the top speed is limited to about 220 kilometers per hour. And again, as usual, I'm not really impressed by those figures, and I don't think the owner should be, or is, we'll see, because it's not really that type of a vehicle. Yeah, it does have a sporty M-Pack, and it's from a manufacturer that usually does sporty cars, but it's an estate, a wagon, so maybe it's more suited for a family. Or again, we'll see during the driving part. Also, the consumptions are gonna be detailed while driving as well. And one of the strong points of this model is the space inside and the luggage space. Let's check out the... oh wait, that's not the way to open it. I'm just kidding. You can open just the top part, the glass part, in order to get something quickly out of the luggage compartment. Or if we push the button, you can see it does have an electric tailgate and a bizarre cover that I'm not really enjoying, but at least it does have a quick release function. And the space is quite enough, quite healthy. I mean, you can see our carry-on luggage as usual, and it looks quite petite in here. We also have some additional features like hooks on either side, a 12-volt outlet underneath this cover, some nets here and there on the other side as well, a rubber band here, and some storage underneath the floor. Well, not this one. You can see that's the system that can hold your luggages in place, but we also have another cover here with some additional space. Now let's continue with the space in the back. First, as usual, the door card. It does have an interesting pick of materials. They're quite soft even up here, and some decor elements in here on the door handle, and some interesting broadening here, something like that, with another small accent on the electric window command. a soft armrest, a speaker, and a storage space, which is covered in felt but only on this side, not on the bottom or on the other side. Weird. And also we have a tiny seal that resembles the M package of the car. You have some nets on the back seats, some vents, and another 12 volt outlet over there. Some light fixtures in the ceiling, a place to attach the net from the trunk area, which I can show you through here, a bit of it, and also the armrest, which does have a couple of cup holders that are adjustable. Nice. This is pretty much the space back here. As you can see, I have about a palm of space between my knee and the front seat. As usual, it is set in line, well, almost past the B-pillar of the car. So yeah, plentiful. As well as for my head, I have about a palm of space because this is a wagon, so you don't have the sloping roofline. So again, nice. You wouldn't expect it while seeing the exterior of the car. It's quite a compact car for even for Europe standards, but it's more than enough space back here. I can stretch my legs, and I don't know, the bench is a bit low. I would like it to be even higher than this, but other than that, for 2 passengers at least, is more than enough. The third one is not gonna be happy with this tunnel here, but it is what it is on a rear-driven platform of a vehicle. Now let's check out the front part of the car. Again, an interesting use of materials. They're quite soft, top and bottom, with the same decor, the same elements. Part of them are because the car is equipped with the M package. The same button here for the electric window, the same speaker, I presume, but the pocket is a bit larger, and it does have cover, again, only on this side. That's weird. But the main benefit of this equipment, of this M-Pack, are the seats. As you can see, they're quite sporty, and they have lots of adjustments. Even though they're manual, that's not really an issue for me. As you can see, you can extend the bottom part of the seat, you can raise the whole seat or just this part, the front part of the seat. You also have some lumbar support and the possibility of adjusting this part of the seat. So yeah, all in all, it's quite a comfortable position. And if you have a seat inside, as you can see, I have more than enough room here. Only a couple of fingers for my knees, but come on, it's all right. The only downside is the fact that this part is not soft, it's a bit hard. So if I'm resting my knee for a long period of time, I'm gonna feel some discomfort. But other than that, is more than spacious, and the glove box, it's a reasonable size, and it is covered on all sides. And finally, let's check out the driver's side. Obviously, the door card is gonna be more or less identical, with some addition of controls for the windows and outside mirrors, but that's pretty much it. And fortunately, the seat is identical as well. It does have the same controls, and it's quite lovely, if I may refer it that way. Then on the left side of the steering wheel we have the lights controls and another cubby that's actually pretty deep, but weirdly enough it's not covered, only has a rubber seal on the bottom, but the door that accesses it is covered. Yeah, let me take a seat inside the car. And actually I should start the engine as well. Yeah, all right, don't want any music. Being an MPAC again, it translates into this lovely steering wheel that's a bit thick in my opinion, but at least the center is quite small. We also have these flappy pedals for the gearbox that are quite nice to use actually, and physical buttons on the steering wheel for cruise control on this side and for multimedia on this side. The downside, they tend to rub off this cover from the steering wheel controls, but other than that, yeah, interesting, nice, a nice feeling steering wheel. Then we have some usual BMW stocks behind the steering wheel on either side. The gauge cluster is analog. It's typical for the BMW, at least on this generation from 2015. It does have a small display underneath the gauges, but you're not really able to personalize it, so yeah. The error that the car shows from the tire pressure system is because it is equipped with winter tires and it doesn't have sensors, so that's going to be stuck there. Then we have the light controls and the SOS button and the control for the panoramic roof of the car, a mirror that can get darkened at night, but it does have a frame, the display of the xDrive system, the hazard lights, and the possibility of locking and unlocking the doors from the inside. Then some controls for the multimedia system and the climate unit with heated seats. That's the way things should be with physical buttons, in my opinion. Then you have a small tray and another one if you close this lid, but if you open it you can see we have another 12-volt outlet, yeah, and some cup holders, but weirdly they are not adjustable. Yeah, that's it. Then you have the button for the traction control, the modes of operating the car, the parking sensors, the lever for the gearbox, and the manual handbrake. Oh, and I almost forgot the whole control for the xDrive system. It's over here. And underneath the armrest you do have a small cubby with an USB port and an auxiliary. And I'm welcoming you to the driving part of the review. Again, we are with the owner of the car, and it's actually the same person, the same owner of the Renault Laguna. As well, we are already on the road. I drove a bit the car until now, and I have my first impressions. I'm gonna start with the suspension of the car, because that's one of the most interesting aspects. Being an M model with an MPAC at least, it does have a sort of a sport suspension, but it copes quite well while having the car in comfort or Eco Pro, because it does have adaptive dampers, and they're not just passive adaptive like on newer models that are regulating the cushioning of the suspension by adapting to the frequency of the road. This model does have an electronic control over the damper. So when you have the car set in comfort, you do have a comfortable suspension. When you switch it to sport, it gets a bit stiffer and it holds the road a bit better. We are already going outside the, well, not the city, but you know what I mean, the speed zone. And I'm gonna go to about 90 kilometers per hour to let you hear the noises that are coming inside the cabin, which is now. Now let's go to 110, which is now. And I don't think I could do 130, but let's brake a bit and let's see. This is it. Interesting. We do have frames over the windows. So compared with the Laguna, the insulation is a bit better. And also on the lower part of the car, the insulation is again a bit better because it is a premium car, a premium manufacturer. But even so, again, we have a bigger difference between 110 and 130 rather than the difference between 90 and 110. For the most part, you don't really hear the engine if you're driving constantly, but you do hear the noises from the tires because they're run flat, and also they're winter tires. You probably could hear the difference when we switch the road surfaces, and also you get a bit of wind noise from the outside mirrors. That's to be expected. So yeah, for the most part, is all right. It's on par with some other models from this generation, from 2015. And so is the driving feel overall. I mean, if you used to drive some E90, E46 3 Series from BMW, you could say that the steering is way too light on this model. It's more like comparable with Audi or Mercedes, for that matter. But you have to remember that you can switch the driving mode. That's sort of numb feeling of the steering wheel. It's only in comfort or Eco Pro. If you're driving in Sport or even Sport Plus, then the steering becomes like an usual BMW steering. It's a bit more precise, and every input, no matter how small, translates in a change of direction. The same can be said about the gearbox, but it needs no introduction. I mean, it's the ZF 8 HP, so a well-known gearbox. So other than that, my impressions are that it's quite a bipolar car. I mean, if you're driving in comfort, the RPMs are low at around 1000 to 1400, something like that. The brakes are easy to modulate. The accelerator pedal is a bit numb. So, and the suspension and the steering wheel, as I said, are more leaning towards comfort. But if you want to play around a bit, you just switch the mode entirely to sport, and the gearbox to sport as well. You also have quite nice pedals on the steering wheel for the gearbox, and then the fun can start. Even though we have a wagon, an estate, and the car is actually a bit heavier than expected at more than 1.6 tons. Even so, it can be fun, and you can enjoy the bends, because you also have the benefit of the xDrive all-wheel drive system. Yes, it does only have a diesel engine with 4 cylinders, but you wouldn't know. If you don't read the spec sheet, you wouldn't know that it only has 190 horsepower. The way that the car sits on the road and on bends, it's almost like a train. So yeah, pretty fun in this regard. And as I said, the brakes are quite nice. I did encounter an unexpected turn from someone in front of me, and I was able to react without jerking the controls. So that's a win for me. Alright, until we get to the maintenance part, I'm not able to share you any problems, because the owner didn't encounter any problem with the car. So that's fortunate for him and unfortunate for us, because we don't have a topic. But I'm gonna let him tell you a bit over the consumptions of the car.
Yeah, so on this car you can get very good consumptions if you are not speeding so much. So I could say you can easily get around 6 liters per 100 or 6.5 liters per 100 of kilometers. And in the city, in the Bucharest, the consumption is not so good. It's around 12-13 liters per 100, but as you said, it's a heavy car, and you have the all-wheel drive system. So yeah, that's pretty much all. And if you are going on the autobahn more than 150-160 kilometers per hour, you will get something around 8-9 liters per 100. So I think it's quite decent.
For such a heavy car, well, yeah, it is a bit heavy, not necessarily compared with those from nowadays, but with some other models, over 1.5 tons is a bit heavy.
Now you have 6.8
for this stretch of road. Yeah, and the average speed is at about 45 kilometers. So I did a couple of sprints, and for the most part I kept the speed quite average. Considering that you do have all-wheel drive and quite a huge amount of space in the back, Uh, it's an interesting value, and all those values actually are interesting. Yeah, it's letting me know that the outside temperature is positive 3 degrees. Anyway, yeah, you are supposed to expect consumptions as high as those that you just presented us, because even though it's a diesel engine, it does have only 2 liters. It pulls quite nice. I mean, you don't really have to think you're overtaking. Also, that's the benefit of the automatic gearbox. So you're not really able to keep a steady speed and to, I don't know, enjoy the scenery like you would otherwise in the Laguna, for one aspect. Yeah, that's interesting. But once again, being a diesel engine, I think its place is outside the city, where the consumptions are gonna be a bit lower. So I think you could drive even on German Autobahn something like 400 to 500 kilometers with a full tank without a problem. And lastly, we're gonna talk about the maintenance of the car. As usual, because it's a diesel engine, I'm recommending something around 7,500 to 8,000 kilometers between oil changes if you're using the car inside the city now and again. If you're using it only inside the city, I don't know.
It's not the right car.
I don't know. Yeah, it's your graveyard, something like that. But you could do an oil change even at 5,000 kilometers, but that's a bit of a stretch. Yeah. The way that the owner enjoys the car outside the city for 90% of the time means that he can do the regular maintenance at about 10,000 kilometers without a problem, and even so is doing it more often than he could. Maybe he could stretch to about 12,000.
The car requires the maintenance at 30.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and also the oil in the gearbox is lifetime, right? Come on, it's not. And that's actually completing our maintenance topic, because you do have to change the oil in the transmission, maybe between 60 to 80,000 kilometers, stretch it to around 100 if you're only using the car outside the city and you don't encounter any stop and go traffic. Because in that situation the oil is gonna lose its properties, so it's gonna require a service way sooner than rather than later. And because this model is equipped with xDrive as well, you should maintain the system at about 50 to 60,000 kilometers tops. Other than that, not really much to talk about. It doesn't have AdBlue, which is kind of rare, even though it's compliant with Euro 6 emission. So yeah, maybe look out for suspension noises, for brakes and tires, because it's quite a fun car, and as we already mentioned more than once, it's a bit heavier than some other models. But all in all, even though it's a premium car, and as you can see, this one, it does have more than 230,000 kilometers, it's not necessarily gonna bankrupt you. You can enjoy the car outside the city, mainly without without having to spend a lot of money in maintenance, in terms of the consumption of the engine. So yeah, you could do it. Obviously, it's something that depends from owner to owner, from the places that you're using the car, the road surfaces, and so on. But for the most part, it's not gonna be so expensive like, I don't know, something with a bigger engine, with petrol engine from this generation. For the newer cars, it's more or less the same. Well, for my conclusion, I enjoyed the car. I enjoyed driving towards a small city here in Romania. It's already a Saturday afternoon. The roads are clear, so it's very nice. That's gonna be it for my review. If you would like to say something about this model, if you're owning it or used to own it, you can use the comment section or the social media. And if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, see ya.